I want to talk about getting to the $100,000 per year. Why is that important? $100,000 a year is kind of a magical number, isn't it? I mean, you can do just about anything you want, live just about anywhere comfortably that you want on $100,000 a year. How much is $100,000 a year? Well, that's $8,333 a month. Okay, so roughly a couple $1,000s a month. All right, so if you can live, I mean, a couple $1,000s a week, if it's a 4-week month. All right, so $2,000 a week, that's $8,333 a month. That's $100,000 a year. Yeah, we got our math right now. Okay, so $100,000 a year is probably most people's goal. That's what I would guess. It's definitely a good goal to start out with. Now, I will say this about $100,000 from somebody who has experienced it. Okay, $100,000 is a comfortable life in most places. Very, very comfortable. Okay, but now when you start getting into the $10,000, remember that's $8,333 a month. When you get into the $10,000 a month range plus, okay, now we're talking about you can do whatever. Okay, you're making a lot of surplus money. All right. Now, of course, this takes into account some good budgetary standards in your life. Okay, I'm not talking about living in a mansion, driving a Lamborghini. You're not going to do all that on $100,000 a year. But if you can live a decent life, okay, and to me, just to me, and this is kind of personal, but it's not about having the money, okay? It's not about having gobs and gobs of money and living in the mansion and driving the Lamborghini. It was never about that for me. If it's about that for you, great, okay? I personally don't know any rich people that live that way, okay? I've met 2 billionaires personally in my life, and a lot of multi-millionaires. The last billionaire I met, I had breakfast with him. No, I'm sorry, this is the first billionaire I met. I met him for breakfast at a diner in a small town in Colorado, and he arrived driving his Ford F-150 pickup truck, wearing shit kicker boots and a hat, a ball cap. Okay, so we think billionaire status, millionaire status. Oh, really what we're thinking is Hollywood, bullshit. Because the real world, okay, people of success live below their means. Okay, that's my point. So if you want to live a good lifestyle of freedom, go anywhere you want to go. Do anything you want to do. Okay, have basically whatever you need whenever you need it, without concern. Now we're talking the $8,333 a month or more, okay? Now sometimes we get confused, and this is just me talking, okay? So you can always watch a different channel. But we get confused sometimes, I think, thinking that we need 15, 20, 30, 50,000, 100,000 a month. Well, because we get confused by watching too much TikTok, Instagram, fake bullshit. But also, we get confused thinking we need this large amount of money when really having a good, steady $8,333 or $10,000, $15,000 a month, just a steady, would just blow your expectations away for what kind of lifestyle you can have. Okay? My point is that the consistency is huge here. Okay? Just consistently making 8 to 10 grand a month is 100 to 120,000 a year. Okay? So let's break down here today. That's what I want to do. I want to break down the plan to get to $100,000 a year. Okay, because that's the thing. We can talk about $100,000 a year all day long, and there's plenty of channels that do that, but who's actually going to show you exactly step by step what you have to do down to today? Me, I'm going to show you. Okay, Right. Not only that, but I'm going to give you even more further details step by step. And in order to do that, I want to share screens with you and go to a blank sheet here. And I want to just begin to write down a few things. First of all, the goal will be $100,000 a year. Okay. We've already broken that down, and that equals $8,333 a month. Okay. I can tell you from my personal experience, okay, that each deal that I do, lease option pretty house deal like the one we talk about doing in the course, that one there, I usually get somewhere in the range of, okay, now I'm going to start with the high because, and this is bread and butter stuff, okay, so I'm talking about houses that are $250,000 or less, all right, that's usually my bread and butter. But my payout, okay, my profits usually are in a range of somewhere between $15,000 and on the low side, $5,000, okay? And those are monies up front that are paid up front, okay? That's not, I don't have to wait till the end of the lease option period to get that. That is option fee being paid to me by my tenant buyer that I'm putting into the property to do rent to own, okay? Lease option. So I'm going to collect from them the assignment fee or option fee of somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000 to $15,000. So let's typically, okay, I'm just saying from my experience on average, all right? Now let's just split that right down the middle and just call it $10,000 because that's kind of the split difference between 5 and 15. So if we were making $10,000 average profits per deal to get to 100,000, well, that's obvious. We would only need 10 deals a year, right? 10 deals a year. 10 deals per year. Okay, so if we did 10 deals a year, how many deals a month is that? Well, that's a good question. See, I'm going to have to get out the old calculator here and see if I can do a little basic arithmetic that my school teachers failed me, okay? I'll just be honest with you. I wanted to learn. No, that's not true. I didn't want to learn a damn thing. All right, so let's take a look at the calculator, and let's take, let's see, what were we talking about here? Profits, $10,000 per deal, okay? And we have 12 months in a year, okay? So we need to take 10, and we need to divide that by 12, okay? Right? Is that right? Am I thinking right here? All right, let me see. I got so many Zoom things here in the way. I got to get all of them out of the way so I can see the calculator. All right. Yeah, 0.83. That makes sense. That's how many deals you'd have to do in a month. Okay. So we're talking about what? A deal every 30 to 38 days or something. Okay. Right. So we would have to do a deal to get to $100,000. One deal every, let's call it every 40 days. All right. Let's just call it that. All right. One deal every 40 days at the $10,000 average per deal. Okay. One deal every 40 days. How do we get there? How do we get to one deal every 40 days? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. We have to know some more information to fill out our formula here, but I can tell you from my experience, okay? And maybe you're really talented at the phone, okay? Maybe you're really good at it. Calling leads, I'm referring to. Maybe you're super talented at it. Maybe you've been studying the greats for a long time and practicing, and maybe you've had a successful career maybe in another field on the phone, okay? And so you will be maybe better than me, okay? Maybe you're not quite as good as me, all right? But I can tell you from my experience, and maybe you check out, if you doubt me, check out some of the other real estate wholesaler coaches and creative finance coaches and stuff and see what they say too, because usually I think we all fall into the same category here. Leads. Usually we need somewhere in the area of, if I'm really on, okay, like if I'm really on and I'm just tearing it up on the phone, if I'm at my A game, I guess is what we could call it, okay, about every 30 leads, I can get a deal. Okay. All right. But that's not always the case. Sometimes the leads, are what they are. And sometimes I'm not as good or as sharp as I could be. And so I find that the high end is somewhere around 80. Okay. Sorry, guys. I got paint on my shirt here, my hoodie. 30 to 80. All right. So if we want to do $100,000 a year and we're doing 30 to 80 leads per deal. Okay. So it takes 30 to 80 leads to get a deal. Let's take a look at where we've come to so far here. All right. So $100,000 a month or a year is $8,333 a month. If we're making $10,000 profit per deal, we need 10 deals a year. That's a deal about every 40 days. Okay. We just established that it's going to take us 80 leads to get one deal. Okay. All right. So we got to start talking about lead gen now a little bit, because we got to come up with leads, because we're going to get 80 leads to get a deal. Man, that sounds like a lot. Well, like I said, it might be 30, if I'm on my game. I can tell you in the course, there is a script framework for talking to homeowners. I recommend that. I think we offer some of the best training there is on that topic and how to convert. So anyway, check that out, shutupmoney.com. But nevertheless, you're going to have to come up with 80 leads too. How do you come up with 80 leads? Well, what I do is I scrape Zillow. Okay. Yep. Scrape Zillow for sale by owners. Yep. And what I'm getting is I'm getting on average about 90% pretty houses. You're like, I would have guessed that. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I'm still getting 10% ugly houses. Think about that. 10% ugly houses. So ugly houses, I'm doing some of that too. Okay. That's right. I'm sending out contracts on ugly houses, even though I'm a pretty house guy. That's fine. I'm a full spectrum wholesaler. I like to do pretty houses and ugly houses. So I have to come up with these leads, but I'm getting about 90% pretty houses and about 10% ugly houses. So I may get a contract on an ugly house too. I'll just throw that out there. All right. So let's assume for 80 leads. How do we come up with 80 leads? Well, what I do is I will scrape. Okay. I will scrape Zillow for sale by owners, and then I will text blast them. All right. How many do I have to scrape? Well, that's a great question. The answer is, in order to do 80 leads in 40 days, you need to do a minimum of 625 for sale by owner scrape and text blast. All right. If you're wondering what about the text blasts, so on and so forth, well, we're going to talk more about this in subsequent videos. This is part 1, but we do provide you with the text templates in the course, and we do provide you with the lesson on how to do the scraping and everything too. So there's some good info there on this topic, but we are going to cover this in more detail later. I will tell you though, just to be frank, the text messages that you can use to create leads like this, you will get about a 40 to 45% reply rate. Okay. All right. Now, when you get into the daily coaching club over here, we've got some other cutting edge stuff that we share with you when it comes to the text messaging. All right. And you can begin to tweak things a little bit as you move forward. But what we give you is what you should start with, because you need leads and you need them right now. Okay. If you don't have leads, let me ask you a question. If you don't have leads, are you self-employed? Or are you just unemployed? Well, if you tell me you're a self-employed real estate wholesaler, but then I ask you if you have leads, and you say, well, no, I don't have any leads. Okay, well then to me, you might be unemployed, okay, because you don't even have any prospects. Okay, I'm just dropping that word out there. No play on word intended. Actually, absolutely, I meant to play on the words. So 625 scrapes and texts per week, okay? Now that's going to create your, basically 4 or 5 conversations a day. All right, that's my point there. Man, I'm digging this music right now in my headset. Holy cow, can you guys hear that? I'm about to float off on this. Okay, so if you want to make $100,000 a year, the idea then is we kind of reverse engineered it back to you being able to do 625 scrapes and texts per week, which is going to lead to 4 or 5 phone conversations per day. Okay, if you could do 1,000 a week, you'd be really, really looking good. But text, text, scrapes and texts, not phone calls.